It's Jen. Hi, Jen. Thank you for working on my boat, Jen.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Is it?
Sure.
We'll see how long that lasts.
Not too much.
I am. All right, so down here, what we're gonna do is travel up to the V-berth, and I'm gonna pull this liner out. I don't think there's any reason for it to be there, and it really just kind of hides everything that's happening up there. And it makes it hard to get to those bolt holes. So I'm gonna take that off. Okay, plan 2. I am not going to take that thing out after all, because it is really up there, epoxied in. Hello everybody, it is 4:20, so hold on for a second. So this is what I've done today. I had Jen out, as you saw, and she put citrus strip on all of the toe rails, stripping all this varnish off. It's probably gonna take a few. And then I filled these cleat thingies with thickened epoxy. And so I'm waiting for those to cure, and then I'll grind this down. And then the most fun thing that happened today is that I was trying to saw this hole open and fix the crack that was in there, and accidentally sawed into several of my wires. So now I have another project to do. But that's cool because this electrical panel is a bit of a mess. And I have wanted to clean it up, and now I think I will have a reason to. So this winter, right now, my project list is ripping apart this settee right here. Settee, which is what we call a settee. I call it a settee because I worked in a fancy French restaurant. Anyway, there's the holding tank under there, and it is all grimy and gross. So you can see the foam. It leaks, it smells. It's time to replace. Somebody's calling my name. Who called my name?
Hi, Jen.
It's Jenna.
Would you like, hi.
Hi, Jenna.
Hi, would you like your package?
I would love my package.
Am I on the YouTube?
Oh my God.
I'm good. Am I on the YouTube right now?
You are on the YouTube.
Hello,
Yep.
YouTube.
Hi. Thank you, Jenna. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hello, good morning. It is now Sunday, the last day of my vacation till I have to go back to work. Pretty gray today. It's supposed to rain. So I'm kind of down here just sort of cleaning things up. I have to leave the boat pretty much for an entire week because I'm going to Cape Cod to visit some friends. So I'm just making sure that everything is sort of watertight. I did come in this morning and I found out that there was a leak in this area here, which was caused by the holes that I drilled and then filled with epoxy. I did not do that correctly, and they are now leaking. So I'm gonna tape them up with white tape, and I think that'll do it for the week. And then next weekend I will come in and hopefully start laying down some glass. I just want to say that this citrus strip actually did do a pretty good job. Jen applied it all over the bright work yesterday. We waited pretty much the rest of the afternoon, which was about 2 or 3 hours, and I tried to strip it good, but yeah, I wasn't really having much luck. I was trying to sand, but this varnish was really stuck on here, and I think I probably made it worse. I should have left it alone. If you go to a place that I haven't touched yet, you can see that the varnish all bubbled up, just peels right off. But I think if I just left it on there for a few days, all this stuff would continue to react, and once it was done reacting, it would sort of separate itself from the wood. Yeah, some of this varnish is on there super thick. Looks like they didn't strip it off before they put new varnish on. So that citrus strip actually does work. Put it on for a while, come back in a day or two, and it really does a pretty good job of getting that stuff off of there. I have all my battery stuff off. I'm gonna turn my bilge pump off. No need for my bilge pump to be running. It just keeps on coming. Not cool. Not cool at all. This is how this project is going. Not bad. I laid some glass down yesterday. Put thickened epoxy on the bottom substrate of fiberglass. And then I laid some biaxial cloth on top of that and let it cure overnight. And today I came in and laid some more thickened epoxy and sort of filled in some of these little holes that I had left. And so I think that this thing is waterproof now. I guess we'll find out when it rains. And then I went around and just ground down the rest of these. I had laid chop strand matting into these little ones just to sort of build back up the surface again. And on this one here, I put in the Total Boat structural repair putty and fared that down with a putty knife so that it's pretty smooth. And then I'll come back on with some fairing compound and smooth that over. Did the same for this, same for that, and the same for that. It's kind of coming along. I don't feel so terrified as I did yesterday. I came in yesterday and looked at that big gaping hole and freaked out. But, you know, you just take it one step at a time and things get done. Hello, everybody. How are you? There's Jen in the background.
Oh, hi.
I just want to give an update on what's going on here. Jen is going over the toe rails, all the bright work with another slather of citrus, what?
Strip.
Citrus strip, which seemed to work okay. We tried the heat gun and it kind of worked but kind of didn't, and it seemed to take a really long time. So we're gonna go with old orange. And I've been working on the plywood for these holes in the decks, and let's take a look at that. So I set myself up a little cutting station down there. Managed to only lose 2 fingers. Fortunately, they were the best 2. I traced this hole in the deck with a piece of cardboard and a utility knife, and then used that cardboard as a template for the plywood, and then took my jigsaw to the plywood and cut the plywood out. And now I'm going to cut the plywood into 16 little squares because the underside where the plywood's going to lay is not uniformly flat. And so these little pieces are going to bob up and down. By having them in smaller pieces, I can just sand them flat when the epoxy is dry. We're going to do that now. We're going to cut this plywood into 16 easy pieces. Laid down the wood. I laid down a sheet of 1708 biaxial. Next time I come out here, I will lay down chop strand matting, and I will fill in the rest of that void with chop strand. And then I will sand it all down and put fairing compound over that, and then I will sand that down, and hopefully I will have a smooth deck. Same thing for up here. I also filled in most of the hole here with 1708. I put 4 layers here in this super low part, and then I put a sheet here and one over here too. And so same thing as with the other one, I will then put chop strand over the top of this, fairing compound, sand it down, and hopefully this thing will be smooth and ready to put primer on. It's getting there. This boat is completely, I don't know, taking over my life, which I guess is what happens when you buy a boat. All right, I think I've already talked about this, but while I was cutting open this big hole, I sliced into several of these wires, and now I have to replace them. Good times. Ooh, look how pretty my fingers are from digging through all of these wires that have been slowly molding over the decades while this crack, which is no longer there, has been leaking and letting water into the boat, completely soaking all the wood inside. This is what happens when you get water leaking into your boat over the course of decades. So yeah, that back bulkhead back there, I think I've talked about this before too, is completely rotted, and I'm going to have to replace that, tab in a new one, and then figure out something to do with these shelves here. But the immediate problem is replacing these several wires. And I wrapped a zip tie around one of them to trace it, and this one goes to the macerator pump, and all these with the blue tape on them are all cut. So I think there are five of them that I need to replace. So I am unsnipping all these wires from their bundles. Here's my macerator wire right here. Comes back here somewhere, runs along here. And I am honestly kind of flabbergasted at how tiny these holes are that these wires are running through this conduit. I don't really know what to do about that. I know it's wrong, but I'm not really sure how much to care, to be honest with you. Yeah, there's huge holes right there that nothing except speaker wire is going through, and all the electrical wires are running through this tiny ass little, what the fuck is that? Look at that. It's insane. I'm starting to think buying this boat was a bad idea. Okay, so here is what I have come up with. I decided not to replace the entire length of wire because way back there in that mess, it goes down to the macerator pump and it splits off into a couple of wires. I don't think it's really worth it. I just took out the bad part of the wire and spliced these together. And this is what I have come up with. The shrink wrap on the end is not long enough, and I realized that. But it's the macerator pump, and I don't use it very often. I will when I go offshore. We'll see what happens with this. I'm going to do it differently next time. What I did do, though, was I cut new conduit for all the wires to go through there and there. Really shitty job taping, but I don't give a fuck at this point. I think this will be good enough for now, and then I can address it later. Oh boy. All right, so this is a... what's the word for this? Mess. All right, so that's a little bit better. Cleaned up some of the connections, spliced new connectors onto some of the wires that were corroded, labeled the cables so I can tell where they are without having to look or chase them down. Fucked up on that one. This is actually the steaming light, not the whatever that was. Yeah, so that's that. I'm wondering on this side over here, here's a little tag that says connect to 12 volt positive. However, this is the negative side, this is the positive side, so I don't know where these go yet. Gotta chase those down. That doesn't seem right. Yeah, electrical, not something I had planned on doing, but it does need to be done. And I have all of the stupid boom. Always stepping on this thing. Yeah, so, and I have all of the cables spliced that I damaged. So, and I have run several of them through the different holes. So, yeah, we're getting there. And I have a big pile of electrical detritus. Delicious. Close this hole, close this one up. Sanded this down this morning, not bad. I'm waiting for some epoxy to arrive. There seems to be a shortage, COVID. I don't know, something's going on. I'm gonna close this guy up too, just with a piece of blue tarp, because every morning when I come in, there is water down below, and I don't know if it's coming in through here or if it's coming in through the tow rail, which is or the deck joint. I am about to cover up this hole. I stuck one of the mini Amazon boxes that I now have in here and sort of propped it up from underneath so that it leaves sort of a shelf for the new epoxy and the new glass to sit on. I think that will work. So I've kind of wedged tape in there because this thing just kind of goes back, and the epoxy would ordinarily just run, you know, right into the void and down into the cabin somewhere, which I don't want. But I think I have this thing propped up enough so that it will not run, and I'll just put some thickened epoxy in, and that should do the trick. I also discovered that way back here, one of my hole to deck joints is leaking. Good times. So I've got to figure that one out. I'm a little scared that the deck to hull joints across the boat, a lot of them are compromised. I did find another one the other day, so yeah, I got to figure that out.